Hexagons, a big shout out to everyone who is out there listening right now or catching the replay. We are back today, second stream of the day. Very excited to hang out with Whalesonly. It's been a while. It's been a few months since we got to be on stream together for HEX Unaffected number 2. If you haven't seen number 1, RG3 is fantastic stream. Very, very good stream. I want to kick it off with some people who've been around the community, OGs, if you will, whatever, people who love HEX. And that's when I'll try to keep the stream, this series of the stream to those people too. And none other than Whalesonly, of course, one of the biggest advocates and truth sayers out there for HEX and its power of crypto in general. And very, very excited about the stream. We're getting into HEX, all the delicious green candles going up and all the fun stuff out there. Let me say out the chat real quick. I'm going to say Alan's so good. He's back twice. He was on the previous one as well. DJ and Hexagon, what's happening, man? Good to see you. DJ Bomber, welcome. I like my free content to be on time. I know exactly, Alan. You should have those expectations that I will show up. Community has appreciate that. Tribe called Hex has great thumbnails. Yes, like I said in the chat, I spend minimal time on the thumbnails, but I try to just get them to be good or okay. So I'll keep it simple. Thanks, Alan. Appreciate that. SMO Spider, welcome. Yeah, thumbnails. I used to call it thumbnail, especially when I'm clipping. It does kind of turn to thumbnail because I'm just like, oh god, I got to type. Thankfully, Canva has revolutionized this. I don't know what I'd do without. Shout out to Canva and the people who enable me to search for things and just click buttons and mouses and put them around. But when I have like 10 clips and streams, it does suck because I'm like, oh god, I have to come up with 10 things. Take some brain power, but I'll make it happen. Yes. What's happening? 555 crew. Welcome back, Elite Hexer. Welcome back. Love me some t-shirts. Well, hoped you loved them 5 days ago because they were very, very affordable then. Now they look expensive compared to a few days ago, funny enough. But I think compared to what they were at the last all-time high, reasonably affordable. You could say that. But boy, I don't know how long they're going to last. We're going to get into that though. Without further ado, welcome back to the show, Whalesonly. He's been summoned. However, his mic may be on mute. I don't know.
I did it again. Hey, shout out to everybody in the chat. And what's going on, brother? Thanks for having me on, man. Appreciate it.
Of course, man. Anytime. It's funny enough, I was talking to Westcott the other day, and he told me the first time he saw me was on your show, like 18 months ago or so, before I even started streaming. Right. And I was like, wow, you saw that stream. Like, you remember me from that stream. That was funny. Good times back then.
Small world, man.
Yeah, man. That's that was when Max was like, streaming. I don't know. I remember going to Hex Meetup and they're like, oh, you a streamer? I'm like, no, I don't know if I want to do that. The next week I'm like, full on every day, let's do this.
Yeah, it's funny, right? How the bug just hits you.
It does. It's when there's something worth talking about, I don't know, for me it's like extremely motivating when you have something like Hex, all of RH's ideals. It's like, why wouldn't you want to talk about that and like get into details and just share with people and something you've been prolific at for many years now?
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of interesting to see the shift in personality traits in people, right? That were public and now all of a sudden they're not, and they were Hex personas, and then all of a sudden they're, I don't know, wearing knee pads. I don't even know how else to put it. It's just disgusting. I can't show people of duplicitous nature any modicum of respect. I refuse to do it. So I will always slander these individuals and just down talk them and berate them at every moment possible because they don't deserve anything else. People that are that mentally inept where they would see fit to divert people's resources into just snake oil endeavors. I mean, how the fuck are you supposed to respect people like that?
You want to paint the land. That's probably like an interesting point too. You want to paint the landscape of like what the Hex community with PulseChain and everything else coming, all the new people and builders and scams and all that stuff. What are there different factions now? Like, how do you see the landscape of the community at this point?
To me, it's not a different. It's real simple. You either understand what a cryptocurrency is or you don't. So if you do, you typically are an RHMaxi. If you don't, you think meme coins and shit are permissible. It's very simple. It is really a clear, crystalline line. There's no blurring that motherfucker, right? Because what we're talking about is the future. We're not talking about making some fucking X's. And people have a hard time differentiating one thing from the other. You want to go piss in the wind, knock yourself out. Just don't expect everybody to support that, because we're not.
Do you think it just needs a few things going to zero before people are like, you know what? Actually, Hex was good. I remember when Hex was good.
No,
It's good, isn't it?
I think people are just gonna have to get left behind. It's just how it works. You think that there aren't people out there right now that are hating their lives because 8 days ago they didn't do what the fuck they were told to do? Because I've been telling them for years.
Yeah. Yeah. There's so many people I've talked to that you've like your epic streams have like onboarded so many people. It's really incredible. Like just putting it out there. And just showing people the power of the stuff, and then being like, and then still they'll go and buy something else. They'll go, no, I want to gamble. No, I want to go do this. And just losing. Is that what it takes? You just need to lose your stack. You just need to like keep losing until you start winning.
I suspect so, because being told the truth just doesn't work, apparently. I mean, I've tried that in multiple facets of my life. It just doesn't work. Telling people the truth is irrelevant, man. Until they decide to realize that you're not lying, meaning that they decide to believe the truth, because that's part and parcel of the issue with most people, right? They need to believe. They can't assess information and be objective about it. I personally do not know what the fuck is wrong with people from that perspective, because I do not have that issue. So I can't even empathize. I can't relate at all, because when the stove is hot, I know not to touch the motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? I don't know why other people have a hard time learning that, but more power to them. They got this skin that I can't even buy. You know what I'm saying? Like, to be able to touch a hot stove on repeat is fucking crazy.
Yeah, is it just Hex is the product where it is the embodiment of delayed gratification, embodiment of like and they don't want to do that.
It's a multifaceted situation, right? I mean, Hex is complex to start off with because people think it's just a regular coin. They don't understand the implications of the system and how it functions. They just can't wrap their minds around it because they don't have anything to give them perspective. And this is the thing that people don't understand. It's not to demean anybody else, but knowledge and understanding of what you can compare Hex to is the only way you can actually talk about Hex to any sense that anybody with any, how can I say, with any impact or influence that matters. Not some crypto buffoon. I mean, people in the real world. People that are going to bring billions, if not trillions, to this market. That's who I talk about. That's who I think about. I don't give a fuck about a meme coin. I don't care about turning your $100 into fucking 1,000. Like, congrats. Good luck with that.
But then I'll use that to buy Hex, though. I'll use that to buy Hex.
Sure. I mean, and that's fine, right? And that's the excuse we hear time and time again, but that's not what we see. Definitely not what we see. Because what we end up seeing is shit ecosystems evolving instead of just shit meme coins, right? I mean, we've witnessed shit ecosystems develop within our own ecosystem while people down talk and berate the founder and the ecosystem upon which the shit sits. I don't know where that makes sense, but I'm not respecting that, and I'm not even gonna act like that those people are even a part of this. Don't think so.
It is annoying. Like I like some of the stuff that people are building around Hex and PulseChains and all that. But when it always is annoying when I see somebody say like, oh, like either talking down about, one of the RH
You can
coins.
build all you want, right? I mean, nobody's saying don't build, but you're not going to sit here and act like you're better than RH. You're just not going to do that. While down talking him and Hex, you're just not going to, and PulseChain, right? And PulseX. You're just not going to do that and think you're going to get the slide. Like, there's no sliding on that one. You're going to get taken out, period. And we have nothing else to do. I mean, you know, and that's kind of the thing that's really difficult for people to accept and understand at the same time. You know, crypto is a solo effort, right? So while we do have this community and all of that, there are certain people that stand out more than others, right? And there's a reason for that. And the question is, what is that reason? And do you understand it? Because that determines the quality of the information that you're receiving from that individual. And what's interesting is that the more views that individual typically has and receives and followers and all that shit, the lower the quality of the information.
Hmm.
Do the research. Don't even gotta take my word for it. Matter of fact, don't do the research. I'll do it myself. Let me write that down. Cause it's just an economic fact. It's not even an opinion. What do you get from watching a BitBoy and Co? I mean, let's be fucking honest. What's the ROI on those views?
Hmm.
Zero. Zero's being courteous, right? Is being very generous because we all know it's actually negative. I mean, when you're getting paid to promote something, it's going to be timed. These people are doing it in a timely fashion, right? So you're literally their exit liquidity. Literally, these are the people that are the frontier or the main promoters of cryptocurrency, right? That's the mainstream of crypto. I mean,
Yeah.
how do you define that as progress? You can't.
Yeah. It's one of those things where everyone's like, oh, we need more people, we need more attention, we need more publicity, mainstream,
We
BlackRock getting
don't.
in Bitcoin, all this stuff. What do we need? Maybe talk about
We
that. What
don't
do we
need
need
that.
for HEX?
What we need is financial destruction, apparently, because people don't want to learn with information. People always have an opinion that's immaterial, irrelevant, inconclusive, like unprovable, just it is unsubstantiable. You know, like you can't sit here and say, here's this evidence that states that this action leads to more viewers, more whatever. Like people just make stupid ass comments, don't take action, don't do anything to add value. So I don't even understand why people care about anybody that asks those kinds of questions. Who cares? What what do they like? Why do you think that their questioning matters? That's my question to you. Because what value are they adding to the conversation that's being had right now? And the answer is none. So what do you think we should do? What do I think we should do? Fuck what they think. Because why don't people understand that crypto is a solo thing? You know, everybody's out here pretending that people out here looking out for their best interest in all this shit when we just experienced 2 years of straight people lying to their face. Well, we know that's not the facts.
Yeah.
So what's the choice? Right? Keep playing yourself by following a sucker or educate yourself. We just seen it through Rona for 3 years and then 2 years of this bear market, which was tucked within Rona. So people didn't learn from Rona that they're fucking dumb because they still fucking fell into the same type of traps over the last 2 years of this bear market. Proven. It's all on Twitter. It's not even an opinion. It's a fact. So why do we care as people that stood through the mud, understand what it takes to be successful in markets? Because we proved it by sitting here parroting the same message day in, day out, that's based on facts, not opinion, timely results, timely evidence. You see the difference? Completely different. So I don't give a fuck about people that think anything like that. Like whatever they have to say is so irrelevant that, we can end the stream right now and I wouldn't even care. Because what is the point of caring about anything they have to say? They're entirely irrelevant to the conversation, period. They have nothing to say. They had 2 years plus 3 to learn something and didn't learn shit. That's what I got to say about that.
You think that you think it literally is people just not understanding Hex, because if they really did, they would be like, I found it. I found what I've been looking for. Is it just literally like kind of they hear about it, they maybe talk about T-share for a minute, and then they, oh, okay, that's cool, and they just move on. It's just not that deep understanding, that connection with it.
It's hard to that's a question that's hard to paint with a general brush. And the reason for that is because for some people, yes, that is the case. For others, right, that we saw and were public personas that were lying, pretending to know, clearly not the case, right? They were just being liars. They're just duplicitous actors. So you got to be able to differentiate one from the other when you're kind of having these conversations, because people are going to think about those people. There's a lot of guys, man, within this community that pretend to know what Hex is, and they act like they promote Hex, but they never actually talk about it. They never talk about staking. They don't talk about anything. I mean, why is it that I'm the only guy that's known for constantly talking about Hex? But apparently there's hundreds of fucking streamers in the community. That's funny, isn't it?
Hmm.
Doesn't quite add
Yeah.
up, does it? We're talking about one person versus fucking hundreds. Isn't that funny? Yeah. Cool. Fun facts. Ain't that some shit? I mean, look,
So
man, it's, the evidence is all in your face, right? And that's what's hard for people. So this is why I always fall back to the answer that people just gotta fail to learn.
it's trying to think of because I want to talk about the T-share a little bit too.
T-share rate was, I mean, we're above 30,000 hex per T-share on both chains, right? We're a cent and a half on one chain, 1 cent on another. I mean, you had all the time in the world to pick it up when it costs nothing. Why you press now? Right? And these are the things, right? And this is one of my favorite lines. You do things when you can, not when you have to. Because look at you now. Right? You had all this time to pick up this hex when it costs nothing. But now people wanted to make money. Yeah, sure. In quotes. How's that working out for you? You making anything? Probably not. So good luck with that one.
I'm always thinking too, when I'm looking at my bag, it's like I rarely have a lot of liquid hex. Is there, other than different trading or different using different platforms, different tools, other stuff like that? When you're is there a reason you ever look at your bag and be like, oh, like I never look at my bag and be like, oh, I've got a bunch of liquid hex. It's always working for me, with staking or otherwise. So
right. So what's the problem with having liquid hex? You if you don't understand and you just got to sit there and hold it, then you're gonna fuck it up. Pretty simple. I mean, that's a guarantee. That's exactly why staking as a function is the savior. Right? I mean, this is the thing that people do not want to respect, because they think that they just can do some magical shit. And while they might get lucky here and there, over time, do you understand what you're actually doing enough to not fuck it up? The odds are for most people the answer is no, because they're not doing the homework, they're not being diligent, they're not being aggressive, they're being lazy. All these things that they do already that they think that they're not going to do because they already have those habits. You see, if they didn't have them already, they wouldn't be in crypto. They would be doing what I'm doing, which is not trading crypto. They'd be trading futures, options, all this other shit that exists where you can make money at, because there's plenty of money to be made over there and not have to worry about getting rugged, etc. Losing your keys, getting your keys taken, all this crazy shit. If you really want to speculate to make money, that's it. That's an if, because the assumption is that these people online are telling the truth. But we've learned over time that the 90% of them are lying. 90% of these people online are lying, whether they're showing their face or not, whether they're streaming or not. 90% of the people are lying, if not 95. plain fact, not an opinion. I mean, if we sit here, go through all the information, it's there. That's what's true. These people are lying. So if you're not being an assessor of character and the quality of the information, then it doesn't really matter who you watch or anything, right? You're going to get bad info, and that bad info is going to permeate, and that permeation is going to turn into shit, right? Because anything that doesn't belong in a system just clogs it. So information is it's stuff. It clogs your brain.
Yeah. When people, I got hexfire.io pulled up and the hex share rate estimate. When people look at this chart, what is the takeaway? Like when you see it, what does it say to you?
Monotonicity, unitone, monotone. It's just going one direction, one way street, up and to the right. And people underestimate the impact of that because Hex was so cheap, right? I mean, look at that T-share rate. It went up 5,000 Hex in 1 year, right? From 2023 to 2024. We can say it's probably going to go, we're only about to hit November. Going into the end of the year, who knows what's going to happen because Hex came out after December 2nd. So that T-share rate, as you can see on the screen, is scheduled to pop in December. I mean, you don't even need to forecast this shit. It's obviously going to happen every freaking year. Duh. But because people are slow and they need visuals because they don't want to think, they need a graph to show them that the same thing's going to happen every year. Like, yeah, you're going to see that T-share rate pop in December every year because it has to happen. The question is, how big will the pop actually be? Right?
Why December?
December because that is when the contract was initiated, as in deployed. So that's when a lot of the first stakes were made, right? And people made stakes all types of duration. 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, all the way out to 15, right? So we're talking about every year, 1 year intervals, you're gonna see a pop around that time. It's just, I don't know why people don't understand that. People don't, though. They really don't. And it's really that simple of a line. Every year, that's gonna happen, whether you like it or not. And over time, the T-share rate is going to go only up or sideways, whether you like it or not, because that's how it's designed to function. And it's based on the activity that occurs within the system based on its utility, because it's a bonding curve token. I mean, most people have no clue what I just said, but they think they're in crypto. And that's part of the problem, right? This is why so many people are going to get left behind, because they don't actually learn anything. They just follow fools online. They don't do any research. They just watch a stream and call it a day and think that they learned something. But that's just the start. Unfortunately, it's really not the end all be all. You watching the stream and then buying something, that means nothing. I'm sorry. What's your plan? What's your plan if your plan don't work? What are you thinking? What makes sense to you? Why are you here? Most people don't even know. They just think that they're here to make money, and that's not what this is. This is something completely different. This is a completely new system. How do you define that, monetarily speaking? It took people 40 years to figure out Apple. It took them 60 to figure out IBM. It took them 30 to figure out Amazon. Do you got 30, 40, 50, 20 years? Most people don't. And that's why a 15-year stake is a no-brainer for so many of us, because we did the work. And there's plenty of streams highlighting all this shit, that the long-term trade is the winner. And it's going to not just win. It's going to be a generational wealth facilitator, right? Because when you look at these stocks that facilitated a transition in the way we live, that was the end result. So, I don't know, empirical evidence seems to work rather well. I would hypothesize that you might end up seeing the same thing here, if not more voracious of an end result, because of that T-share rate. Because what happens if institutions in the quote unquote real world wake up to the utility of an instrument that provides a relatively fixed yield where there are no counterparty risks? Because let me tell you something, as a person that has to literally suss out counter. Now, it's funny because when I tell people I do KYC, they don't really know what the fuck that means, right? Because they just hear KYC and they think, regular people shit. But I work on Wall Street, bro. I'm not doing regular people KYC. Like the KYC I'm doing is credit analysis, credit risk, shit like that. So if somebody steps up to the plate and their pockets is holy and they're claiming to be a business with all this and all that, well, it's my job to call their shit out and be like, nah, we're not giving you an account. Sorry. Right? Like that's literally what I do. Right? So what happens when people don't have to present an ID, a piece of paper, proof of whatever, to some middle guy that's just there to put up a wall so that they can maybe have access to certain markets? Maybe. It's not even guaranteed because they don't know, because the rules are so complex. And nobody understands this unless they work in that world. Nobody. Not even the people on Wall Street understand this shit, because it's a small community of people that deal with this shit. So even those so-called economists and all these clowns you hear parroting whatever they're parroting, they don't actually know because they don't work in the business. They're not in the business. They're not in the know of cross-border money rules. They don't know what KYC, AML policies are, AML legislation, Bank Secrecy Act laws, all this nonsense that regulators impose on American businesses. And American businesses are busy running the business or being complicit. So they're not worried about that shit. So there's all these moving pieces to the puzzle that the average person that has no experience in anything financial, because this is financial, it's political, it's all these things you don't want it to be. But guess what? All those things you chose to ignore your whole life now fucking matter. Sucks to be you. So what are you going to do? Are you going to put in the work to actually find that success? Or are you going to just sit there and let somebody else do it and tell you how great it was? I already saw that shit happen, bro. That's why I have no qualms in speaking how I speak to people. Because in the near future, they're going to feel the pain of their own inadequacies, of their own inaction, of their own choosing to believe instead of verifying. Because everything that we put out, you, me, Crispy, all of us HEX streamers, it's verifiable information. Even if you're not showing charts, all of this shit is verifiable. That's why I made such a splash when I hit the scene, because everything all the guys were saying, RG, DCC, all these guys, I showed it. That's all I did. I didn't do anything else. Right? I just showed it. That's all I did. So from one moment to the next, all of a sudden people forgot what was true. People jumped off the ship. People forgot that this was a long game. Right? And crypto is that's how you beat everybody, to the point that they can't even see the punches coming anymore. With minimal effort, mind you. Because we've already seen people take $50 and turn it into 10,000, 100,000. Like, what is wrong with you? And the opportunity of a lifetime just floating on by. Hope you're happy, because I am.
Yeah, it's I think right now, if we have people say 2024, 2025, 2026, if we get HEX at 30, 40, 50 cents, dollar, whatever, and then all of a sudden interest.
You gotta understand, the first stop is the recent high. So we're hitting that first, and then we're off to the races. That shit is an automatic. So you saying 50 cents, that like if it's some type of milestone, it's not. It's not gonna be. I'm sorry. It's not gonna be. And then the funny thing is that the T-share rate is gonna be at 30 fucking plus thousand fucking hex per T-share at that point in time. So I'm just gonna be laughing really hard at all the suckers that lied to everybody out here. Because everybody lied to everybody. You understand? Very few people chose not to lie. Everybody else chose to lie. No respect there, son. Where I'm from, there's no respect in that. Because if you're just gonna hustle somebody, you just straight up with that shit. You don't give a fuck, and people respect that. So the fact that people felt the need to lie for years, so then run a shitcoin scam on people to get their money up instead of just getting a second job or hustling or something, I don't fucking know, bro. I'm from New York. We do what we got to do around here. I don't know what other people do out there. I don't live out there, so I don't know. But over here, we figure it out. So the fact that people just out here looking for handouts, scamming motherfuckers, this, that, and the third, like it's beyond me. I don't understand it. I don't participate in it, and I can't respect it. And people acting like they weren't shit talking RH and the coins, and then coming back acting like it's all good. No, we're gonna shit on you even harder, because you definitely aren't gonna walk away like you were standing here the whole time beside us. You're not. It's just not gonna happen. And that's what people are gonna do, because that's what lying ass pieces of shit do. And the internet is, it's littered with them. And Hexaco is no different. That's why we had to change it from a community in quotes to a shantytown, because that's what it really is. Because when our own people are not policing the trash, then there is no our own people, right? We have no community. It's just some of us and then everybody else, because that's what PulseChain created. So until people get burnt, this is going to take time. So until people burn their bags out and they're just not around anymore, like with ETH, like with Bitcoin, that's just what we're gonna have to tolerate. A bunch of scumbags that think they know better when they don't know shit, and the charts prove it. Charts prove it. So it's not like,
Yeah.
and that's why it's sad, bro. It's sad because we're out here giving the information away. We're not even doing Patreons and shit. Like, it's there to be had. And you had the option to pick up Hex at the cheapest prices in years. And you had better shit to do. That's cool. What else can we do, man? That T-shirt rate isn't going to stop ticking because people continue to stake, right? And now that prices are back above a cent, you're going to see these 30-day stakes start coming back in again. So that's even going to ignite the staking activity even more. Right? So it's all these things, people really need to do their best to understand decision-making process in an economic system, because decentralized finance is supposed to be that. Okay? Not just the coin that you buy and hold because it's cute or whatever. Like, that shit dumb, bro. Like, nobody with serious money gives a fuck about that. Sorry. Nobody. Doesn't matter what you think. It's just not the case.
Is there anything sweeter than seeing 100 T-shirts? 1,000 T-shirts? 1,000?
Yep, then 10,000, then 100,000. I couldn't
do that
even
for you. There you
imagine,
go.
bro. I couldn't even imagine that. Freaking crazy, man. I mean, look at that number. Right? Today it's a cent. It was 60 to 70% cheaper a week ago. How you feel?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, even let's do 1 million. I did it, 5-6 days ago. This was like $3,000.
That's right. That's right. I mean, how are we supposed to feel sympathetic to people at all when all we did was say, hey, don't drop the ball, buy all you're supposed to buy right now. I mean, we literally spent 2 years saying this. And yeah, sure, it went down for 2 years, but what the fuck else you got to do? That's why you stake it. That's why you stake it. That's why you stake it.
I do like that. If nothing else, it's like, what else are we supposed to do for the last 2 years? It said buy Hex. I like that. Whether it goes down or not, like I think that is such a good point of like all the other things you could be doing in your life, DCA and HEX, for me, that's like at the top of my list. Like it just makes complete sense.
I just don't understand. I mean, if the goal is to be in total control, why would you not be aiming for that? How do you achieve total control in mere months? It doesn't happen in months. It takes years. Be honest. You're talking about taking total control of your whole life, for fuck's sake.
Yep.
Where's the logic in that? Taking weeks. You know what I'm saying? Like, people don't think, man. And I used to do the same, so I know. It's a painful lesson, brother. It's a painful lesson, and many people are about to learn it. And I'm not gonna feel sorry for them because that's just part of life. It really is. It really is. I had to learn it. That's why when I found Hex, you can't stop me from telling me. I mean, I haven't stopped since I started. It's almost 3 years nonstop of this because it's that simple. And everybody wants to play themselves, acting like they got it figured out. They don't. RH does, though. And they're about to learn that shit the hard way.
He tweeted, man. He tweeted. We're all good now. He tweeted today.
He's been okay. Let's talk about that stupidity. So the same cocksuckers and dipshits talking about him not being present and all this gay shit. The man been tweeting every day. Period. Where the fuck you been? Your head that far up your ass or up somebody else's ass that you can't see a tweet, but you quickly tweet about another dude and what he not doing. But you can't even see he doing it. Bro, look, man. This is why it's hard for me to show any respect. They don't earn none. They don't give themselves any room to receive any. Where's the logic in any of the dumb shit that these people say? I mean, these are people from within the so-called community, man. Not people outside the community. This is what's sad. And people within the community let that shit rock as if it's some type of thing. Nah, man. All you people are disgusting and deserve no respect and will get none from me ever again. Y'all burnt the best bridge out. Congrats, motherfuckers, because I seen all y'all. You can't do what you did and think you gonna rock. Like, you seen me tear up Quant Gang. You ain't shit. Just like Quant Gang wasn't shit. Wake up. The real world don't give a fuck about the internet. It just doesn't. It's real simple, man. And people are gonna learn that lesson here real shortly. Like it or not. It's just what it is.
Was the Hex pump recently? Was it obvious? Like you said you just. I mean, I watched your stream. I tuned in the other day, a few days ago, right before it happened. We're talking about that.
Mm-hmm.
Was it obvious
to me? It's always obvious when everybody's ignoring the thing that they shouldn't be. That it's time. And at that point in time, show me anybody talking about Hex on Twitter. We're talking about the middle of October. The 10th through the 15th. Show me somebody talking about it. You can't find anybody talking about it. You can't. The whole world is falling apart, and people are ignoring the only thing that can fix what's wrong. It's a joke, bro, and everybody's the butt of it. So, it's it's more of a I don't even know, bro. It's crazy. It's just sad. Real simple. Dollar cost average.
I don't think I've asked you how differently or the same you see EHEX and PHEX. Might as well bring that up.
The same to me. Why wouldn't you want two assets on two of the best things on the world in two chains? I don't understand. That are existing and still functional, and they still have value. I don't even understand the question. Like, you got a preference between gold and gold, motherfucker? Like, what? It's the dumbest shit out. Literally, dumbest shit.
Gold in one country versus gold in another country, maybe. Yeah, it's like still gold.
Whatever. It's still gold. Who gives a shit? That's the point. That's exactly why it's a stupid argument. I don't understand, bro. I'm sorry. And again, this is a function of people's inexperience and lack of analytical capability. Like, you don't understand that this shit is the same regardless of where it is. The only difference is where it is. It's still the same exact thing. Even if we're talking about ETH Fair and ETH POW, whatever, it's the same hex code, Matic, same shit. So it's only a question of whether you can stake it or not. That's it. And I think all of those chains except Matic, you can stake it. So, it's on you, man. I mean, this is the 21st century. The hand holding is out. After Rona, that hand holding was for sure out. So people are going to learn to either earn or wreck themselves. That's the future, man. And I keep warning people about this shit. And look, just as an example, it's already happening. The other day, about a month ago, somebody from my job got fired. I've been there for 4 years, never seen anybody get fired for being incompetent. Finally happened. Couldn't believe it. Some other motherfucker got removed from my team because that's how much people fucking suck out here. So if you think you can continue to flow like that, good luck. Universe ain't playing that shit no more, as far as I can tell. So good luck to people that think it's a thing to do. I highly advise against it.
It may ask, can you explain the bond yield curve?
That's a very generic question. What exactly do you want to know? We could talk about that alone for like 4 hours.
I think you were talking about in reference to HEX. We were talking about it earlier, maybe.
No, it's not relevant to HEX. Yields are at 5% right now, essentially across the board. Right, we're around 5%. They've started to compress a bit. But you guys got to understand, when it comes to HEX, the eyes on HEX aren't big enough for rates to matter. And once people actually understand that HEX exists and what it is and how it works, they're not going to look at it like that. They're going to look at it as an income generating tool. Like, it's just not the same thing. It's just going to be completely different, way to view it. It's not going to be apples to apples. It's not going to be yield curve. Like, you're not going to see a HEX fucking 10-year versus a fucking US 10-year. Like, that's just not ever going to be a thing, because they're not translatable. They're not transferable. They're not tradable products, so you can't really look at them like that at all. And I've tried to explain this to people before, but I understand why it's hard to get, but you're best served to understand that the cryptocurrency system is not financial economic system. It's a new economic system, because what you think of as finance is not finance. It's funny money. It's monopoly money. You don't actually know what finance is. You've never experienced it. You've never been a part of an actual financial system. You've only been a part of a fraudulent system. And that's difficult for people to wrap their head around. It took me a while to even realize that was the problem. How do you know you're being defrauded if you don't know what fraud is? You can't. That's the problem. This is why nobody understands they're getting scammed. How is it that we're over here arguing about how much dollars and cents some shit gonna be? Who gives a fuck? We don't even know if dollars and cents are going to be a thing in 2-3 years. You know what I'm saying? And that's a crazy thing to say, but it's so plausible. It's plausible. And that's hard for people to accept. They want to believe their little lies. And, those things, unfortunately, have a limit. Lies have limits. And today and over the past week, all the lies have been looking foolish. So much so that, they're all Hexicans again. No more teddy bears and shit. You know what I'm saying? All the bears are gone. Yeah. Only the losers, only the perma losers are sticking to their shit coins or whatever. Oh, man. Crazy.
Where do you think we're going as far as stakers, holders?
I don't know, brother.
People waking up?
That's a function of people, exactly. People's personality makeup. When I first started streaming, I wasn't saying anything different than I'm saying now. Everybody seemed to be agreeing and all of that in the chat, but gives a fuck. Nobody actually cared. Nobody actually cared. And we saw it in the price action. And people still don't know how prices work. It's crazy. I've explained it umpteen times. People don't look it up, they don't Google it, and they still make these weird comments like if, the price action is somebody else's fault. Like, yo, people are selling it down. What do you not understand about that? Like, if the price chart sucks, it's everybody's fault. It's not RH's fault. It's everybody's fault. Because you're not onboarding, you're not talking about HEX, you're talking about everything else but HEX. You're not even staking, you're not doing this, you're not doing that. You don't care. Only a select few people care, so why are you mad? Even the people that should be mad are not. Another
Did you
reality.
just get paid? You just get your daily payout?
Yeah, of course, man. It's 8 o'clock. Mm-hmm.
Sir, shout out to Alan who reminded me. He said 18 minutes till daily payout. And I was like, I'll come back to it, Alan. I'll come back to
It's funny. I can't even remember the last time I checked. It's a beautiful thing. Mm-hmm. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing because that's the point. Go on, live your life. Do what you got to do while your stakes do what they have to do and the market does what it has to do. Now, personally, I want all the X's. So my stakes are all the way out there. You guys know my average is almost 15 years. I don't got to talk about that. So, and of course, we're a couple years in. So, that time is burning down. My bag is growing. People don't want to accept that. And just to get this out there, when I say people, I mean in general, right? Like very generally, because the hard thing for a lot of viewers to accept is that the viewer is a small percentage of the actual market, the YouTube viewer, because only 10% of all the existing HEX is floating around is staked, if that. It's less than 10%. So clearly, everybody doesn't care to be staked. And then on top of that, everybody doesn't know to be staked. Like, that's another thing that's difficult people to really wrap their head around. Everybody isn't involved at this level. They're just not. So, we're talking about various levels of information that we have to filter through really to get to people so that they can understand that they're missing out every day on opportunity because they chose not to understand something. And it's real simple. Every day when you're staked, you're getting X amount paid to you based on how much T-shares you have. Simple. And the idea behind it is that you're not selling the price down, and that by the time your stakes end, you have more than enough to not have to sell it down in a ridiculous way because the liquidity over time is going to increase with the value of the system. I mean, people don't even understand that. And that's crazy to me because how do you not get that? Price times quantity equals value. That's fluid. It's not static. So over time, the value of everything that's burned is going to fluctuate. The value of everything that's staked is going to fluctuate. Everything fluctuates over time because it's quantity times price. So this is also important to understand when you're trying to grasp what a system is doing, right? Because, we're talking about complex systems here. We're not talking about a ticker. And people have a hard time wrapping their head around that also. While we make it sound simple, it's a little more nuanced than that because there's a lot of layers to it. But you got to understand the simple stuff first, right? You can't get to the other layers if you can't even crack the skin, right? And I don't know, man. I put things in plain English, and at the end of the day, people either want to learn or they don't. And even when we think we do, we're not. And it's really just about, are we thinking things through? And a lot of the time we don't know enough to think what we need to think. sometimes we still got to learn something, so it's all relative to the individual, and the individual is just best served in understanding that I wish people would stop saying that. They give Nobel Peace Prizes out for no reason. What Richard did deserves his own thing. Nobel is it's inferior. It's not on par. Yeah, it's not on par. Obama got one. What the fuck did he do besides kill kids with drones? I mean, nothing. Probably. Let me just not even go into it. Point is, Nobels are not worthy of what RH has done. They need to, he needs his own thing. And I think that museum he's drumming up is probably going to be a good representation of something, right? Because ultimately, somebody is going to stand on something in that dude's name. Believe you me, because he's earned it. Stays true. I mean, people still don't understand the OA. I mean, I don't know how many times I see like dumb comments regarding the OA. And the thing about it is that, again, this is crypto. You got to do your own work, and if you don't understand the actions behind the OA and what it's done, right, and how that matters in the crypto world, then you don't really belong here because you don't understand what crypto is. So either you got much more learning to do, or you're just never going to stick around because you don't want to understand. And crypto is crypto. Crypto isn't changing for anybody. I'm not changing for anybody. In fact, I'm devising my own strategies to get this out there. Because clearly dealing with all these buffoons isn't a thing. It's not a strategy. It doesn't work. It doesn't. If it did, we wouldn't be having this conversation. That, what is this?
I brought up the ICOSA.
Yeah. So all these things tied to HEX, right? They wouldn't be deflated. Very simple. They would have activity showing up on the data. And we don't see that. We don't. And this is how we know that the community is really a shanty town, that people are duplicitous, they're liars, they're not doing what they're saying they're doing, because there's only a certain number of us that are actually showing and proving what's being done. And that's just what's true. Nobody has to question you. Nobody questions me. Nobody questions all the people that we all know. But there's a lot of other people that you got to question them. It's a given. Because you don't really see what they're doing. They're always doing this or that or the other. They're not really sticking to a story. They're switching it up, right? And that switch up confuses people because they're just learning. They don't get it yet.
Mm-hmm. I was just going to ask too on the speaking of Hedron, ICOSA and stuff. How do you think about exposure to the T-share with those products, just for people who may not know much about them?
I think those are a little too advanced. I think if you don't understand the T-share system, then good luck. Honestly, that's what I think, because those are derivatives, right? A form of a derivative. So if you don't have any interest in acquiring cheap T-shares, for example, or providing or facilitating that utility to the market, for example, by buying ICOSA or Hedron, right? Like you're just not going to be interested in that market. And a lot of people just don't know enough about HEX to even understand that that's what that is. I'm like the first day it came out, I said it, and people were like, "What do you mean it's to sell?" Like, yeah, motherfucker, it's to sell. It literally is. I just told you how. But if you don't understand the mechanics, then you're going to think I just mean to dump it. Because you don't know. Because you didn't think through what I just said. You just assume some shit. Because you don't have the level of depth and understanding that I do with regards to what I just said. Because it's a packed statement. It's a dense statement. Why would I just say something's to be sold? Right? That's almost misleading. Right? But it's because I'm talking about a specific thing. Right? How is it that HEX is to be bought and never sold, but ICOSA is to be sold? Because they're complementary. That's how they're supposed to work. hedron, whatever you want to call it. But that's how they're supposed to work. Supposed to be complementary, yin yang. Because that's how you secure T-shares that are now out of your range, by buying those cheap coins. Pretty simple.
Yeah. When do you think T-share is going to be referred to as 1,000 share instead of a trillion share?
I don't know, man. Probably soon. I mean, we were already talking about that last time after we got like above 25 cents. So I'm guessing this time probably about 10 cents because we're already at 30,000 hex per T-shirt. So, the higher that T-shirt rate goes, the sooner that day is going to come. When we're talking with K shares, M shares, whatever. We're at T, we go down to B, then the M, then the K, then the C or whatever. So
H, at some point, 100 shares.
Yeah, well, HC. Yeah, I was thinking Centennial, but yeah, CH. Yeah, all the same. It's gonna be something.
What about finish up on a couple things here, but I think Hex Whale is something that a lot of people are very interested in. Hex whales. How do you think about the whales in our ecosystem?
I don't.
How does Whales only think about the whales in Hex?
I don't. The reason I chose that name is because Hex is gonna make whales only. But if you're not playing in the system, you're not gonna.
My mind is blown right now. By the way, I did not know that.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. Actually, I like that.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah. That's why I
can't believe I haven't heard that. Wow.
Yeah, I've explained it a few times, but people just don't get it. They think I'm talking about myself, but I'm not. Because people typically project. I don't do that shit. But yeah, that's why I chose that name, because I understand the system. That's what's gonna happen. Anybody that participates, they will definitely be a whale, no doubt about it, because that's exactly how the system is designed to work. Over time, what happens? People leave. They think they got better things to do. This, that, and the third. They think they know better. But what does the system do? Look at that chart. It keeps going. It keeps pricing people out. Doesn't care. And people don't choose to understand that. They choose to get left behind. So by the time they realize what's going on, T-shirt going to be 50,000, 100,000. Price going to be $1, $2. It's going to be too late. You're going to be priced out because you were here when you could have been positioning yourself to be a central bank for real. Determining your own rate of interest. Facilitating loan. I mean, people just don't listen. So who cares? But point is, keep believing the liars while you get priced out. I mean, I think it's supremely comical that we got people in this community that were not doing the work that I was doing when I showed up. But yet all of a sudden they're financial experts now. You keep believing that. Ha!
Yield connoisseur. Is that?
That's a nice name.
Yeah. Just thought of it.
Yeah. Because I mean, so one thing you probably don't know, for a long time, while rates were zero, it was all about the chase for yield. That was the phrase that was used. So if you knew how to drum up, like if Hex would have existed, in 2011, 2012, man, we probably would have never heard about Bitcoin. Real talk. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Probably would have never heard about Ethereum. If it would have been like its own thing, oh, yeah. Yes, sir. Because there was no yield to be had for over a decade. That's why everything is breaking now. 1 + 1 is 2. Simple. Second, third order effects. I mean, when people are used to borrowing for free, and then all of a sudden it costs 10 times that, what do you think is going to happen? Yeah, problems. That's what's going to happen.
Bill Jack says, explain the OA to us.
The OA is that facilitator of protection to the system because it owns the biggest portion of the system. It owns like 90% of it or something like that. So say a big institution from Wall Street wants to step in and price us out. Guess what the OA is going to do? ensure that we're not yielded priced out, right? Because the OA can do A, B, C, D, E, A through Z to facilitate any type of protection that he needs to facilitate in order to make sure that he disincentivizes any bad actors from doing whatever they think they're about to do. And that's important, right? It's all about being able to protect the market. That's what the OA is there for. And that's what they've done, period, since day one. And that's what's on chain. Nothing else matters but what's on chain. That's what crypto's about. A real cypherpunk understands that. They're not worried about what some homo thug is saying on the internet.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't misunderstand it. They look at it as a risk, but it's really a protection.
Correct. It is decentralization. It's the purest form of decentralization because that specific actor, that specific nexus of the system is there to facilitate a specific function over time, right? Because if it's there to just literally protect, which is what it's done, then that means on the flip side, when the market gets big enough, it will have to get out of the way as well. And that's part of it too. You see, but all of that takes time. I've explained this stuff before. This is stuff that takes time. It doesn't happen in a market cycle or two. It might happen after year 10 because maybe that's when the market starts to become mature. Maybe that's when the OA can get out of the way. Right? I mean, if you look back through the history of any stock that exists, the number of shares at the end of its existence is always greater than at the beginning. So what that means is that over time, the interest in a market only grows. It doesn't diminish. And that's important to understand. Because if you're not playing the long game and you're here early, then you're going to miss out. Like all those people missed out on Apple and all of the other ones, Google, blah, blah, blah. You know the names. This is the next one. I've been telling you guys that for years. Why do you think HEX moves how it does? You think that's just a mistake? Y'all going to learn the hard way, and I'm not going to feel bad about it. 100% not going to feel bad about it. I'm going to laugh at you.
When you say the OA getting out of the way, you mean divesting, burning?
Divesting would be the way to go. How else? They got to facilitate liquidity to the market, right? That's the only way for the OA to facilitate its distribution function and protect the market such that while the values increase over time due to people being interested in buying, right? There has to come a point where prices cannot go vertical any further, right? So at that point is when the OA would step in to facilitate a market. Right? I mean, people don't understand. HEX is not really liquid like that. And I kind of get riled up because it's like, damn, you motherfuckers are deaf, bro. It's like this shit, all you gotta do is look on Uniswap and PulseChain and you see how illiquid HEX is. So the notion that the OA is a risk is literally laughable, and only buffoons that do not understand markets and how they evolve think that way. And yes, there are many of them on the internet. And yes, a lot of y'all follow them. So good luck with that. It's fucking crazy.
A lot of people follow you, man, and they've been able to get a lot of good information. I can't tell you how many people have told me that you've onboarded them and just opened their eyes to HEX. And
well, I hope it continues, man, because it's the only way to help yourself find that lottery ticket that you're really looking for. It's hard for people to see it because having a long-term point of view is hard, man. It's hard. It's just what it is. It's hard. And that's why that staking function is so valid, because it really stops you from screwing yourself, because otherwise you pay the price.
Man, it's been a great stream. I'm so glad to have you back on. It's refreshing to hear, and boy, I always learn when we talk.
It's a lot.
Really appreciate you.
Pleasure, man. Always a good time.
Of course. Replay gang, everyone. If you showed up halfway through, I think I may have to watch it again too. There's jam packed full of good stuff. So yeah, what do you want to take us out on? What any positive notes? Anything going on?
It's all positive. If you're staked, you get paid every day. How could it not be positive? I mean, anybody that's been staked throughout this entire time, congratulations. Now you know the difference between a low value bag, i.e., 8 days ago, if you looked, versus a high value bag, and how quickly it can change in a matter of days. I mean, Hex did a 2.5x or something in days. So I don't know what's going to happen when the market actually shows up. Good luck.
The market actually shows up. Fireworks, man.
Yep.
SMO Spider has it right there.
That's it. That's what it's going to be, like New Year's. Only you're not going to have any advance notice. And that's what people underappreciate.
I'll take a New Year's in July.
Yeah, just like they didn't have any advance notice 8 days ago.
It's true.
Mm-hmm.
All right, everyone. That's all we got for you tonight. Boy, good stream. Yeah, that I don't have anything else to say. I think Well said it all tonight. It's cherry on top.
I was ready. He was ready.
Not
gonna lie. Yeah,
it was. It's good to hang out, man.
Man.
We'll do it again
for sure, man. Say when.
Everyone, Scivive and 5555. We are out.
That's it, baby.